Mission Songs project and performing at Palm Island off the coast of North Queensland. Monique Shafter attended a rehearsal.
When the iris sails away across the sea.
When Jessie Lloyd sings, she tells the stories of her ancestors.
So far away.
Mission Songs project is an initiative to research and revive the contemporary music from the Aboriginal missions, settlements and reserves, mostly from the early 20th century.
When the iris sails away.
All of these songs are original songs written by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people from those eras. Yeah, I think they're significant because they talk about a corner of Australian history that hasn't really been made accessible.
Back then, they weren't called the Stolen Generation. It was just called policy. And more people were moved around and removed from their homelands onto settlements and reserves and the missions. And a lot of those people were half-castes, quarter-castes, all outcasts.
I'm just an outcast, an outcast in this town.
Missions were set up in the 1800s by churches to house Aboriginal people, train them in Christian ideals and prepare them for work.
I kind of look for when our people were removed and moved around and they were restricted from practicing culture or talking language. I look for the songs that they were singing instead. You know, when they were introduced to Western instruments and to English, and what kind of narrative was coming out through song then.
And what's the show called?
It's called Mission Songs Project, Palm Island Strike of 1957.
Yep.
Here at Sydney's Campbelltown Arts Centre, Jessie Lloyd is cooking up a concert that tells the story of her family's connection to Palm Island.
Please welcome to stage.
In June 1957, 7 men staged a strike over conditions at the mission. It was led by Jessie's grandfather, Albie Geyer.
They were sick of getting paid in rations. They were sick of not having, you know, fair wages for fair work. They couldn't own property or sort of manage their own affairs. It really was sort of like a penal colony, and they were living under a military regime. I guess these 7 leaders on the strike in 57 stood up and just said, no, we've had enough.
Oh, give me a land where I may roam.
They held the strike and they wrote a petition. They gave it to the superintendent. And unfortunately that petition was denied, and the Townsville Police conducted a dawn raid on these 7 men and their families' houses. And I've heard stories from my aunties and uncle that were there. They were children at the time, and they remember an axe coming through the door and, you know, trying to smash it down, and these wood chips were flying all over the sleeping children. And they arrested the men and they took them on the boat, handcuffed them by, you know, guns to their head and tied them to the mast and took them back to Townsville. But the whole time these men, you know, were still singing songs, you know, and sort of being really happy and singing with big voices, and the police were confused. They couldn't understand. And I like that was still them resisting, even though, you know, they couldn't physically resist. They could with their voices.
I never knew that I would be one day a foreigner slave.
Jessie's grandfather wrote the song Own Native Land about his experience.
Please give me my own native land.
But of course later on then we would see people earning wages under the Aboriginal Protection Act, which made the change.
Knowing it's no use to sigh.
Jessie will perform these songs at the Yurrumboi First Nations Festival at Melbourne Town Hall. She will be joined on stage by her father, musician Joe Geyer, whose 1988 song Yalul, about the colours of the Aboriginal flag, is considered by many as an Aboriginal anthem. Protest music is in their blood.
That style of living and the poverty, just sort of, people were grown up to be like activists. And
I never knew that I would be one day a
Why is music such a powerful tool?
You know, we were demonstrating against Bajalki government. I used to watch the Aboriginal march towards a line of police on a horse. 3 of them would say, "What do you want?" And then the crowd, "Land rights." But when they got close to the police, it became a big clatter then. Well, I'd rather a 12-channel PA set up. And if I can tell my story for a 45-minute bracket and give me the lead singer's microphone, my voice will be heard.
So this is a song called Port Fort Hill. Watching the Port Fort Hill.
On the 60th anniversary of the strike in June, Jessie will sing these songs to the people of Palm Island and bring the stories home.
Something to do with the spy.
I've got a bit of a hope and a vision with these old songs and reviving them, and they've been, sung for the last 100 years, and ideally it'd be good for them to be sung for another 100 years.
Watching